Hey, it's Lemon. Welcome to the Backlogs. Hope you're doing well. And I know I say that every time, but I'd like to just linger on that for a second. The world is kind of a lot right now, no matter who you are or where you're from. And whether you're using my videos for background noise during lunch, white noise for sleep, or direct entertainment, just know that I'm happy that my videos are giving you what you need at this moment in time. Because to be honest, I'm feeling it too. There's just so much negativity out there right now. And combined with this being the busy season for YouTubers, where I feel like I'm doing far too much and not nearly enough at the same time, I just needed a little break. And then, amongst the dozens of emails demanding my time and energy, an indie game made by a team of about 5 people showed up in my inbox. They didn't ask for much, just that I play their game and give my thoughts about it. And when I loaded it up, this is what I saw. And if I'm being honest, that's all it took. Because while this video is sponsored by OGU and the Secret Forest, this game turned into something else entirely for me. After only a few minutes of playing, it quickly became apparent that this game was doing something that most other games just aren't doing anymore. It was having fun, and that makes it important. Today, I just want to talk about OGU and the Secret Forest. So what is OGU and the Secret Forest? Well, if you've ever played A Link to the Past or any games of that caliber, then you already know exactly what you're getting into. For those of you who haven't, OGU is a top-down adventure game that thrusts players into a lovingly handcrafted world that feels eager to be explored. It has puzzles, memorable NPCs, dungeon bosses, and mini-games of all kinds. And collectibles. Lots and lots of collectibles. And in a 3-sentence pitch, you can see why this game stood out to me. With so many grimdark games out there constantly boasting about their difficulty levels and white-knuckle action, a game whose main protagonist is called Baby OGU caught me completely off guard. And I'll be honest, at first, I thought this was a game for children. You know, baby's first Zelda. I mean, there is a difficulty mode that makes it so that Baby OGU can never die. Sounds like little brother mode to me. No, not even close. Turns out, Baby OGU being immortal is just part of the canon. Baby OGU cannot be stopped, Baby OGU cannot be sated, Baby OGU is... But we're getting ahead of ourselves. May I present to you the first screen of the game. First impressions are important, especially in video games, and this starting screen tells us a good deal about the game. Firstly, this game was hand-drawn, every nook and cranny, which is absolutely buck wild when you realize how big this world is. The next thing you'll notice is that the game is actively inviting you to enter a certain headspace when playing it. Your very first quest is to prepare for an adventure by grabbing your trusty hat and bug net. Mundane items of little importance, unless you're a kid. If you're a kid, that hat is your favorite thing in the world, that net your weapon of choice. And why shouldn't they be? You're Baby OGU, with a bug net in your hand and an adventure to find, what more to life is there? This is the headspace that OGU wants you to explore while playing. Leave your adult worries behind, and just remember a time when the only thing that mattered was how much fun you could have before dinner. Back when you wanted to smack a garbage can with a stick, and you just did. Back when calling up a friend to see if they could play was the highlight of the day. Back when games were fun, just to be fun. Look how happy Baby OGU is to pick up a leaf. You can find it anywhere, and he's literally freeze-framing in midair, he's so excited. And after talking to some townsfolk who are just a little too relatable, I find a strange bird. A strange bird that apparently wants me to follow it. A strange bird that leads me deeper into the woods. Into the dangerous areas that regular-sized OGU warned me not to go. But do you think that stops Baby OGU? Do you think that Baby OGU can read? Of course not. I'm on an adventure, dang it. This bird isn't gonna follow itself. And if following this bird just so happens to open up a magical portal to an alternate dimension where God is dead and the entire world is on the verge of falling into ruin, well, who am I to say no? And so it begins. Baby OGU, the hero of prophecy and savior. Ooh, is that a bug? I want the bug. Give me the bug. I got the bug. What's this do? What's that do? What's he do? Oh, he's a painter. But did you know? I'm a painter too. Let me just get comfortable real quick. And there we go. Done. Who says art is hard? Jokes aside, this is an interesting way of giving hints to the player. Sometimes the drawings you make are nothing more than that, but other times drawing a scenery reveals something more about it, like the fact that there's something suspicious behind the waterfall here. Moving right along, I catch a few more bugs because I want to, then decide I do in fact know how to read, and do my best to learn about the lore of this world. Wait, what? Never mind, let's do a puzzle instead. This beetle here has a special ability he wants to share with me, but only if I can solve his puzzle. Well, that's easy, you just need to, and then wait, no, that's not. Hey, there we go, first try, and there's no witnesses around to say otherwise. Now get in the net. Oh look, I can push boulders now. Baby OGU cannot be stopped. I push some rocks into holes so that I can push more rocks into holes, slice my way through a grass maze, do some extra credit puzzles that I found on the side so I can get some extra health, then casually strut my stuff further into the jungles where I can find the first enemies of the game. Trash monsters. Insert pun about taking out the trash here. Hey buddy, you just having a bath? That's nice. No, I've never heard of a personal bubble. Why do you ask? Oh hey, another new friend. You think something of yours is in the cave? Ah, sure, I can get that. Let me just... Oh god. Well, at least this first boss isn't too hard. Nothing a little dodge and weave can't handle. And there we go. Easy peasy. Was this expensive? It looks expensive. But hey, look what I found. You're right, game. I should be rewarded for breaking and entering. And I'm dead. Ah, wait. Never mind. We're fine. I do some more drawing, get talked at by a bird, who definitely won't be a problem later, then learn how to dance from a monkey. Because that's just what we're doing today. Joking aside, dancing in this game is super important, because if you're hurt, you can replenish half of your health by dancing. There's also a status called Excited that lets you dance all the way to full health, and there's actually several other status effects we can give ourselves by dancing if other conditions are met. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot of that. What's on the bulletin board these days? Restore the machines broken by a duck or beaver thing. Well, I don't know who did that, but they sound hideous. Anything else of note? Gosh, I wish I could read. Well, I found the market. Looks like there's all sorts of stuff we can... Wait, why does it have a face? Look, it's the Happy Mask Salesman. Turns out, masks are a huge part of this game. Not only are they stylish, but a good number of them give you special abilities. Some of the abilities are critical to the gameplay, like super speed, but some are just for looks, while others are just for fun. And I keep bumping into that same notion over and over again while playing this game. Oh sure, there's quests and an overarching mission, but more often than not, I just find myself pausing to appreciate the art style, the music, and the overwhelmingly pure vibes this game is giving off. I mean, look at this. How can you not smile when looking at this? And we haven't even touched on the minigames yet. Do you like fishing? Well, what if I told you that each region has a set number of fish you can collect, and the fishing piers will outright tell you which fish you can find there? Just throw bait into the water, let the fish circle for a bit, and when it jumps out of the water, convert your bug net into a fishing net. And that's it. Fish caught. Unless a fish is rare. Then fishing becomes an anime battle, where the fastest button masher wins. I'm not always a fan of fishing minigames, but this one gets me. I just love the no-nonsense approach to it all. They took the fun part of fishing minigames, then made it into an easy-to-manage collection game. And it's not like you need to do any of this if you don't want to. It's just a way to make money. Most of these fish sell for about 80 coins each. That means that selling one fish lets me fish 16 more times. Or, for the numerically challenged, basically forever. And don't you worry, there's an entire quest line to find a legendary fisherman in the hopes that he'll give you a hat that increases the spawn chance of rarer fish. Yes, this quest distracted me from the main quest almost immediately, and I have zero regrets. But eventually, I did get back on track, and immediately found myself in a dungeon. This dungeon had everything you'd expect. There were hidden clues, logic puzzles that reminded me that I haven't done logic puzzles in a while, and even some color wheel stuff thrown into the mix. Oh, and there was a catapult at one point. But don't worry, I figured that one out immediately. Because if there's one thing Baby Ogu knows well, it's siege warfare. And it's a good thing too, because the next boss requires it. Overall, nothing too difficult. A little hectic towards the end, sure, but nothing Baby Ogu can't handle. And just like that, that's one sigil down. Only 5 more to go. From here, the entire world opens up to you. The game gives you a map and a fast travel system, and sends you on your way. Wait, what did you say? And, now that the world is open to us, let's open up our collection book to get a better idea of exactly how big it is. That's a lot of bosses. Is that 15 pages of furniture? Wait, why am I collecting furniture? Cooking? We're trusting Baby Ogu with cooking? Oh, thank God, there's only 11 bugs to catch. Oh, wait. Oh boy. Oh, we're gonna be here for a while. Well, if we're gonna explore the world, we better look at the map. And you know what? I like this. I like this a lot. Not only does it give you a very distinct understanding of which map tiles lead to which locations, but when you click on a map tile, it lets you zoom in, so you can look over the entire tile. Amazing. Exactly what I need. Oh, and the fast travel is just balloons, by the way, in case you were wondering. And now that we've gotten our first sigil, we now have access to a house, because every hero needs a home. And in the basement of said home, we have the Eternal Flame. You know, as you do. Which means we can not only renovate down here without worrying about the darkness, but we can also grow plants here as well, if we have enough resources. What's that? You need even more to do at your house? Okay, how about smithing, where you can make your hat and mask abilities even stronger if you have the right materials? I mean, it's a bit overpowered, but who needs balance, am I right? And if that wasn't enough, the back room of our house has a portal. A portal that takes you to a museum where you can display your entire collection of bugs and fish for the rest of the world to enjoy. But it's not just bugs and fish. There's apparently artifact pieces and gemstones that need collecting as well. What? Did you really think Baby Ogu is the kind of beaver duck thing that doesn't grab every shiny rock and ancient artifact he sees? But don't worry. If you complete the entire museum, it doesn't just give you the satisfaction of watching some bars go up, you also get to open the scary door. What's behind the scary door? Wouldn't I like to know? But yeah, developers, if you could just send me an email telling me what's behind the scary door, that'd be great. Now, if you've made it this far into the video, you're one of three things. You're either asleep, you're a fan of my voice and just enjoying my sultry tones, or are genuinely interested in this game. And because of that fact, I'm gonna do you the kindness of not spoiling it for you. What the heck was that? But suffice it to say that this game has a lot to offer its players. And what strikes me the most about this game is the variety of its content. There's so many different regions to go to, each with their own unique vibe and puzzle style. And it never feels like they're just reskinning the areas. Go to the snow areas, and you're gonna be dealing with some ice skating. Go to the ocean, and you're gonna be dealing with sailors who don't appreciate you sneaking onto their ships. And when I say unique, I mean unique. There's just so much to do everywhere you go, and it's all different. Oh sure, you expect there to be different species of animals in each location, but if this were any other AAA open world game, be honest. Would you even bat an eye if the new areas were just the same puzzles with a different background? Wow, a whole new island to explore. Sure hope the towers I need to climb are slightly bigger. But OGU doesn't do that. It's massive, and doing everything in this game is going to take a lot of time, but it respects that time commitment, and it gives you something new to do everywhere you go. You just don't get that anymore. Games these days are so worried about being your forever game that they fail to see that they're miles wide, but only 3 inches deep. Meanwhile, I found a hidden zone in the Moonlight Forest, and now I'm playing tennis. Why? Because all the bugs here have been following a false prophet, and the only way to convince them he's not the hero of prophecy is to beat the best tennis champion. And when you do, he gives you a hat, and it makes the bugs around you glow. Which brings us to my next point about OGU. It's not afraid to take risks. Did it need a pottery minigame? Probably not. But does it have one? Yeah, it does. What about one of those vertical runner games? Yeah, there's one of those in here somewhere. Oh, you want to run a restaurant? I'll do you one better. OGU lets you run 2. What's that? Making money with your favorite hobby is too passive for you? Not to worry, good sir. Just step into the underground fighting pits and make your fortune there. This game is so big that I couldn't actually engage with it all. This is some sort of painting house. I have no idea how it works, but I know for a fact that paintings get hung up here, and I completely missed it on my playthrough. The same goes for smelting. Don't get me wrong, I learned how to do it and smelted a bunch of different ores, but I never used them for anything. Because I was having too much fun in my basement, growing all sorts of weird plants that won't stop smiling at me, and catching every single fish I could get my grubby little paws on. Because that's what was fun for me, and sweet, beautiful OGU does not care what you pick. It just asks that you engage with it. Here, let me show you the perfect example of what I mean. See this? I'm playing hide and seek with kids, because despite being the hero of the story, I'm a kid too, and they recognize that. And after I've found them all, they give me a hat. It's a pinwheel, and it spins when you run. And it wasn't until later that I realized that they had given me the most overpowered hat in the entire game. And all because I decided to stop and play hide and seek with some kids that asked me to. Because this hat not only spins when you run, but it gives you the excitement buff. You know, the buff that makes it so that dancing can fill your entire health bar, not just half. They handed me a hat that can refill my health bar to full if I just run around the map. Insane. I just can't. There's so much to talk about, and I can see the fun in all of it. Which is weird to me. Because normally, when a game spreads itself out into this many ideas, everything suffers. But here, it just makes the world feel more alive. I mean, look at this. I'm participating in foot races at the foot of a volcano, and one of my competitors is a self-described hamster from hell. I mean, he just sounds like every hamster I've ever owned, but what do I know? Actually, while we're on the subject, can we just talk about the sudden bursts of humor this game has? They're amazing. Don't worry, bug folks, I'll rid your temple of evil. Oh, good. I was just gonna drink myself to death, but your idea works too, I guess. Hey kid, you look susceptible to poison. Come on over here. Yeah, okay, sure. Oh look, I caught a catfish. Ugly. Hey, I heard there's a ladybug chef who has amazing recipes. Can you find her for me? Okay. Okay, so she ate 2 small jellies first, had a sky blue jelly for dessert, but none of them can be the same color or else she ate the chef instead. Ah, there we go. Solved. Man, how long was that door closed? Hey, Miss Ladybug, Oh. Hey, look, a hat. There's just so much of this throughout the game. But what makes it great is that it comes in short bursts. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It just pops up for a few seconds, then acts like nothing happened. Just buying hats here, nothing out of the usual. It's not like I just bought a hat that gives me a frickin' gun or anything. Nope, couldn't be me. I'm Baby OGU. I can't even read. I don't know, man. I know it's not super intentional, since it's an open world game and you can visit places in pretty much any order you want, but it felt like the humor would always kick in right after I'd spent the last few minutes grinding, or dungeon delving, or doing some other slightly draining task. There I am, just off on another fishing bender, eyes crossed from staring at the water for too long, and who do I happen to bump into? Leg Day Puppy. Or how about that time where I barely survived duking it out with a bunch of cactus monsters that shouldn't even notice me, according to some snake oil salesman I talked to earlier, all in hopes of finding a key to the fire temple. Turns out I was overthinking it, because there isn't a lock on the fire temple. There's a hippo. It just feels good knowing that some games are still willing to experiment. That a game that's about finding the fragments of God and saving the world from evil isn't afraid to have a boss that is literally just a dance battle. And yes, it gives you a hat at the end, and the hat lets you start dance parties on the spot. Even when the game is actively giving the player something that they'll use for its utility, it's still having fun. This mask I found makes it so that my dance ability no longer heals me, but gives me a damage boost instead. But don't worry, you still dance. It's just a bunch of cool poses now. You know what the weird part is? Underneath all of this cute aesthetic and charm, OGU is actually on the harder side sometimes. Some of the bosses are actually pretty difficult, and I died several times trying to finish them off. Thankfully, OGU is saving constantly, so a game over means you just start right back at the beginning of the room you died in. But yeah, you'll probably die a few times if you aren't careful. The puzzles are no slouch either. When I initially started the game, I assumed this game was for children, and while there's definitely the Baby OGU difficulty level, so anyone who isn't fond of restarting can keep playing without that worry, some of these puzzles are real brain busters. Most of the hardest puzzles are side missions, so don't panic if you're worried about not being able to see the end of the game, but yeah, definitely some head scratchers hidden throughout the game. One thing I appreciated though was that it didn't force me to meet arbitrary criteria to solve its puzzles. See this puzzle? You're supposed to put the beetle statues in the same locations you met them in, with each slot representing a part of the world map. Thing is, I've only been to 3 of the 5 locations at this point in the game, so I only know 3 of the answers. But that means there's only 2 possible solutions to the puzzle left. Some other games might have held off the reward because I technically couldn't have known the answer yet, but OGU just smiles and gives you your prize, which I appreciate, because it's nice to be rewarded sometimes for making an educated guess. I was also very impressed by the combat system. In the beginning, all you've got is a single swing and a wimpy little backstep, which made me a bit nervous. But by the end, I was dodge rolling all over the place and using a headbutt to counter and riposte enemy attacks. And because of how vast the game is, you can engage with the systems as much or as little as you want. The totem system is completely unrequired to play the game, but if you engage with it, you can make it so that you gain attack damage whenever you eat fruits, have a higher crit rate, or summon mirror images to protect you while you heal. It just feels like there's a way to play for everyone. Are you the kind of player who likes to grind out monsters? Here's a hat that guarantees drop rates. Need an item to drop but don't like grinding? Make a sacrifice to the gods, and you'll get to skip some of the grind. Do you like murder mysteries? Because that's absolutely a thing in this game. No, I won't explain myself. Now enjoy this cutscene where Baby OGU takes command of a giant mech robot and becomes a fighting kaiju game. The developers understood the assignment. Make a game that meets you where you're at, feels good to play, and reminds you of the joy and wonder of childhood. A game that reminds you of what it was like to wonder if there was buried treasure just beneath your feet, and reminds you of the excitement you felt when that turned out to be true. I know it probably sounds like I'm rambling, but that's just because I'm having a hard time picking and choosing why I like this game so much. It's just not like other games, where I can describe the game loop in 2 sentences or less. The game is the loop. You can engage with it as little or as much as you want, and it's all so good. To really accentuate this point, my wife Kat saw me playing this game and immediately asked if she could play, which was very weird, because she's in her busy season at work and normally doesn't even think about playing video games until later in the year. But next thing I knew, Baby OGU's adventures became part of our nightly routine, trading the controller back and forth while we explored the world together. And if I'm being honest, I think OGU really lends itself to that style of unhurried, shared gameplay. It's a great game for someone like me who's played video games for decades, but it's also the perfect introduction to gaming for someone who's new to the medium and just needs a little over-the-shoulder encouragement. Kat falls somewhere in between those 2 groups, having played games for years, but just not very often. And rather than try to explain why she enjoyed it so much, I think I'll just let her tell you herself.
So one of my favorite parts of the game is the first scene where you wake up and you're in your parents' home and you are pint-sized compared to this giant OGU. And the last thing they say to you is, don't do anything dangerous. And then you go out onto the streets and you start your adventure. And I think playing the game with that beginning scene as the context for the rest of the game is what I love so much about it. The idea that you are an adventurer, but are you really on an adventure? It is very much a part of a child's imagination, it feels like. I think the beginning context informs the whole rest of the experience. Is this real or is this imaginary? Does it matter? Because really what it's pulling you to do is to be childlike, to go save the day with a butterfly net. And that gives it a real sense of place that I don't often encounter when I'm playing games. I don't play a lot of games, but it gives it a sense of place that feels really special. The minute you start taking yourself too seriously, all you have to do is watch OGU like run down a hallway with his floppy little body, or have him sit on a mushroom stump and see his little wobble that he does while he's sitting there. And you're reminded like, oh yeah, I don't need to take myself seriously here. This is for fun. And it's just purely for fun. All you have to do is look at like the sky balloon's monkey's face, and you're reminded like, oh yeah, this is childlike. There's something childlike about it. And that gives it a real juicy sense of place. There is something about the art style that also lends to that sense of place, because it really is beautiful scenery. But then you go back onto the smaller scale. Some people have full faces and other people literally just have smiley faces. It's just silly. The character design and the product design is not fussy. The scenery is. It's beautiful. In a lot of places, it's really, really nice, especially with some of the like statues that go into the plot and stuff. It's beautiful. But then when you're constantly reminded, like, it's not supposed to be fussy, it's supposed to be fun and silly and lighthearted. And that is such a unique sense of place. The dichotomy between like scenic and elaborate and silly and fun. Oh, that's another great point of it too, is there's a real over-the-shoulder swap controller type of feel to it that I really enjoy, because when we sit on the couch together and you watch me play or I watch you play, we get to like share the pieces of nostalgia that the game brings up in us. And I didn't play a lot of the puzzle games growing up, but you played a lot of the puzzle games growing up. So it's been interesting and just kind of fun to like experience your nostalgia through you, and then vice versa, because the game does feel very nostalgic. Despite it being new and unique, it does feel familiar. It's hard to find things that just feel like joy sometimes, and it just feels good when you're playing it. It's silly and it's fun. I just love OGU's little hat too, all of his little hats. I love the hats. The idea that you could be like the chosen one and you're going to help restore purity, I think, to the land, and all while wearing a little daisy headband or a headband that shoots flower petals as its main power is so cute. It is so wholesome. I can't think of many things like it. 2 thumbs, way up.
You know what's wild? I've been talking about this game for almost 30 minutes now, and I haven't even mentioned the story. And I don't want to spoil it for you, so I won't. But you have no idea how badly I want to. Because for as cute and silly as this game is, there's actually some pretty serious stuff hiding behind the scenes. And because I was so invested in this world, the story hits a bit harder than I thought it would. I care about these characters. I care about the fact that this world is being torn apart, and I want to heal it. Save it, if I can. Things are only getting worse. Evil is spreading and multiplying at a faster rate than we can handle, and it's getting stronger. Every day, it's getting stronger. But there's still hope. Weapons may be useless against such reckless hate, but our joy can do what our weapons cannot. And with the help of others, anything is possible. Or at least, that's what we've been told. Time and time again, friendship always wins. And for a while, it looks like that's true. But what if it wasn't? What if there was never any hope? What if there was an evil in this world so powerful that God herself feared it? An evil that could blot out the sun and destroy everything? What if the strength of you and all your friends wasn't enough? What if even your strongest friends were barely able to hold on? What can a mere child do when the world around them is being ripped apart? The one thing a child can always do. Hope. A child can hope. And in the end, everything's going to be okay, no matter how scary the world seems. Because it always seems impossible until it is done. And there you go, OGU in the Secret Forest. I don't know how this game has flown under the radar as much as it has, but I wish I had known about this game sooner. Maybe it's just me, and maybe it was just the right game at the right time in my life. But I feel like there's something special here. And hopefully, throughout my rambling, I've managed to capture what that is. Thanks for listening to me talk. And thanks again to OGU in the Secret Forest for sponsoring today's video. If you want to play it for yourself, you can use my link in the description or pinned comment down below. But in any case, that's all I've got. Take care of yourselves, be good to one another, and I'll see you all again soon.